Okay, so this is where we stopped in the last lecture, and it was just giving you a motivation to half transform. It's as simple as you have the edge map coming from an edge detection algorithm. You need to link the edges together, and one way to go about it is actually to you decide what sort of linking that you are planning to do. If you are planning to consider all the straight lines in the image, you can go for assumption that you want to fit a line to all the points, or it can be a circle or ellipse depending on your application, and all these can be achieved using this very beautiful transform known as half transform. So let's go into the details now. Okay, so the half transform, as I said, even though it started as something which can be used to link lines in an image or detect lines in an image, you obviously can see that it can be easily extended to circles or any other parametric curves. Okay, so that's the one thing that should actually go into your mind. And then it was introduced way back in 1962 by the Huff, and then the first application, of course, it came in images detection of lines a decade later by Duda in 1972. It's a classic paper in image processing. Okay, and as I said, the objective then was to actually detect lines in the image. Okay. So, and one of the things that he proved is like it can detect images even in the, lines in the image even in the presence of noise. So I will show some examples in that direction. Even partial occlusions like us, that's exactly our problem, right? The edges, you can easily visibly see that there is a continuity, but in between there are some gaps. So if there are occlusions like that, it's still able to actually link them together. Okay, so very important that always think you can't really give an image as an input to the half transform. Okay, the input to be is an edge map. It should be a binary map where, as we said, 255 or 1 denotes the edges and 0 denotes the background, right? So the input has to be an edge map. So you have to go apply an edge detection algorithm. The output of that you can give to a half transform. So always don't give input. Some people actually even after learning all this directly give the input as image. It won't work, right? Because so many false positives are there. So you have to reduce that. Okay, so now let's assume that you have an image where n pixels that may partially describe the edge or the boundary of some objects, right? Edge can be something like a bond where it's a continuous contour, or it can be a region where, for example, the flower example that we introduced, right? The border of the flower, that can be like an edge map, right? So it's possible. So it can be a region, it can be a boundary, or it can be an edge map, as simple as that. Okay, so that's another thing. And then out of these n pixels, our goal is actually to find the set of pixels, link them together that makes up straight lines. Okay, so that's the starting point. Okay, and don't forget that half transform can be extended to circles or ellipses or any parametric curve. Okay, so that should be always there in your mind. But let's concentrate for lines for the easy explanation sake. Okay, otherwise you just think that it is possible. Okay. So let's assume our aim is this. So you have an edge detection map coming out of, let's say, Canny edge detection algorithm. And then on those set of pixels which are bright as given by Canny edge, you need to fit a straight line. So it's as simple as that. So many different ways you can think of, right? Obviously, I think it's not very difficult if you think that way. Okay. But this algorithm is so beautiful that you will appreciate its simplicity. Okay. Okay, so one way to go about it is like regard a point xi, yi, okay, some xy coordinate, and a straight line, of course, is governed by this equation, right? The slope intercept equation, or the rise run equation. Some people call that, okay, rise run equation. Okay, so yi is your variable here, and xi is your variable, and a and b are the parameters here. So a is your slope, and b is your intercept. Okay, so the important aspect I would like to point this way is that there are many different lines possible through this point xi, yi, right? All are given by different a's and b's. So if you change the value of a and b, you can form different lines which pass through xi, yi. Quite straightforward. There's no magic there. Okay. So, but the interesting thing is common to all these lines, if you think that way, all the lines which pass through xi, yi, right? Common to all these is actually basically these parameters a and b, right? So you change a and b, you get different lines. It's as simple as that. Now the beauty about half transform is like you have to think different. You have to go from the XY plane to AB plane. Okay, so that's as simple as that. Okay, so we'll explain that in the next slide. But before that, I just want to explain this concept of what I was saying. You consider any point 1, 1, for example. Okay, I can have a bunch of straight lines, ideally only parameterized by the AB value. So for example, if I have A is 1 and B equal to 0, I get this particular straight line over here, right? Right, this particular straight line. So for example, if I have A equal to 1 and B equal to A equal to -1 and B equal to 0, I have this particular straight line here. And so many, right? A and B values you change, you get all these straight lines. But what is common about them is they all pass through this point 1, 1. Okay? So some of you might already be thinking in what direction I'm going. Okay? If that's good, let's see further. Okay? So the equation now, y equal to ax plus b, I can actually rewrite it into terms of b and a. Okay? So basically b, I put b, you take this to the other side, you have minus xi a plus yi. Now I'm going to think it in a different fashion. So here I'm going to sort of vary x and y. Okay? So earlier we used to vary a and b for the same x and y. Now I'm going to fix b and a, and I'm going to vary sort of x and y. Okay? So in that case, what you essentially get is again set of straight lines. Okay, so that's an interesting aspect. Okay, so you give the same slope and intercept. It's something like I'm going through a line, right? I get a set of points which goes through that line. Okay, maybe I'll not confuse you. Okay, so this is what we already explained. Now you think of a space which is actually something like this. I think I have the slide, no need to explain. So let me explain with this slide. Okay. So if you think this one, this is our traditional Cartesian coordinate space. You have x here, x-axis here, y-axis here, and then of course these are the different values of y. These are the different values of x. Don't consider this for a moment. Okay, just ignore it, or let me zoom in so that it's you won't concentrate there. Okay, so this is what we have, and then you have 2 points here. Okay, 0, 1 and 1, 2. Okay, and there is a straight line going here which is parameterized by slope 1 and intercept 1. Okay, so a equal to 1 here and b equal to 1 here. Okay, and this beautiful red line passes through these 2 points. Now I'm going to create another space where I'm going to vary the b and a. Okay, so this is the space. Okay, so this b and a are the axis now, and then of course I can vary the a from some value to some value and b from some value to some value. So I do that. Okay, and if I consider this point 0, 1, okay, so that is a point in this space. If I consider that actually, so that point, let me just zoom out now. Okay. So this particular point 0, 1, okay, so basically my x and y are fixed. X is equal to 0, y equal to 1, and if I vary a and b, what I get is actually this particular straight line. Okay, so this straight line is nothing but I fixed the x and y values by varied the a and b values. So I get this straight line. And then this point, if I do the same, I get this particular straight line. And the most interesting aspect is these two straight lines intersect at this point, and that gives me something like 1, 1, and those are basically the values a and b in this space. Okay, so if you are confused, don't worry. What we are actually doing is we are going from the traditional Cartesian coordinate space. We are going into a space which is defined by the slope intercept. Okay, and then you vary the slope and vary the intercept for different values. Okay, and then interestingly, wherever there is a crisscross, wherever they are crossing, that crossing point will ideally give me the slope and intercept of that particular line. Okay, so that means both these points lie on a line, and that parameters of that line can be obtained from this space. Now you just okay, if you are confused, I will explain with the concept of images. Okay, so you have the edge map. Okay, all of you agree you have the edge map coming out from the edge detection algorithm. Now what I do is I go through each and every bright pixel. Okay, every possible edge pixel, I take that, it will have an x and y coordinate. All of you agree, right? It will have an x and y coordinate. So use that x and y coordinate and then vary the A and B, I get a straight line. All of you agree? Because I am varying the A and B governed by this particular expression. Xi and yi are given by the edge pixels. I vary the B and A, I get a straight line. So that will form one straight line in this space, right? I go to the next edge pixel. Again, I will have another straight line in this space. So I go through all the edge pixels and then I will come back and see this space. So wherever there is maximum number of crisscrossing, right? Wherever there is maximum number of crisscrossing, that means that point will give me a straight line, the most common straight line in the image, right? Because there is maximum crisscrossings, right? For example, here we only had 2 points and those 2 points give me 2 lines, and those 2 lines crisscross at this exact point, and that point is actually the only possible line here. That's why only one crisscrossing, right? So this is interesting, right? I mean, now if you see, if I take this 1 value, I take a curve here, it just fit this line through, right? It just overlaps with this line. Okay, so it's quite simple, right? You take all the edge pixels, those pixels, the coordinates for those pixels will form the x and y values. Then I vary A and B, I have a straight line. You go to the next edge pixel, I have another straight line. Then next edge pixel, another straight line. And so on and so on. Finally, I go back and see this image. I will see a cluster formed where maximum crisscrossing is happening. That is the most common straight line in the image. Okay, so I hope it's very clear. Okay, so points that lie, again, I just want to reiterate, points that lie on a line will form a cluster of crossings in the AB space. It's very simple, right? All these points, if I take another point, another point, another point, another point, it will form a lot of lines here, but every line will crisscross at this point. That is the idea. Okay, so let me just put this way. I'll just explain. So you take another point here. Okay, so that will form another line. I'm just putting some random, okay, don't go, oh, sorry. Oh, that's a very bad drawing. Okay, so what I'm actually saying is, let's say I take this. So this line is going here. So this line probably will go somewhere, something like this. Okay. And another line will take something like this. I'm just taking, okay, don't take me by the exact line. So many lines will, but everything will crisscross. A cluster will be formed at this point and that will form this line. Okay, so it's as simple as that. It's so beautiful. Okay, so that's half transform for you, the traditional half transform. So all you need to do is you go from your traditional Cartesian coordinate to a space, okay, which is defined by this guy. So you have a B direction here and A direction here. So this is basically the slope direction. This is your intercept direction. You form those series of straight lines for each of the pixels in your image, and then wherever there is maximum cluster formed, that will form the most dominant straight line. The next cluster will form the next dominant straight line. And so in that way you can find out all the straight lines in your image. Okay, beautiful, right? So form a discrete cell for AB space. Then I think this is quite straightforward. I don't need to actually explain. So I'll show you some example. Okay. So you consider a straight line. So you go this way, okay. So you have a straight line, okay. So basically this is the output of an edge map. I had something like this. So I take this pixel, this pixel, this pixel, this pixel. It will form a lot of lines. If I use a surf plot to visualize that, you will see that there is one point where there are a lot of crossings, okay. So this is that point. I find that point. I find the A and B values. I come back. I draw that line. It is something like this. And you see this wrench diagram, you can see a lot of discontinuity, right? A lot of discontinuity here. Now I take all these points on the, so basically in this case, all these dark regions, dark pixels I will consider, each of them will have an XY coordinate. I will form the AB space, AB line here. So that's what you have. This is only the surf plot. Instead of the 2D viewing, we are viewing it in 3D. That's all. So from this, I can easily see that there are 2 points, right? Okay, so these 2 points are the most crisscrossing points. You find the A and B values for both these points, and then you put that, you will form 2 straight lines as shown over here. Okay, and this is a noisy case. Okay, and you can see even there also it's able to perform. So it's very clear the half transform is sort of immune to noise. Okay. Now, the beautiful thing is here, you may think that, okay, it's solved. It's not solved. There's a problem. In practice, a better solution is not y equal to ax plus b model. A better solution is the polar representation, okay, which is x cos theta plus y sin theta equal to rho. where theta is the angle and rho is the radius. And can somebody just pause for a moment and think why it is so? Okay, just pause and think about it. And the answer is this. This is because if I have a vertical line, that means my slope is undefined, right? Because 90 degrees tan 90 is infinity. You are in trouble. So then our ancestors thought about it. They're so good. They came up with a better way is to represent in the polar representation, not really y equal to x plus b. Okay. So only thing is that only difference, everything remains same. The only difference is that instead of a and b, you are having a theta and rho parameter. Okay. So you go from xy space to theta rho space. That's all. Okay. So this is the representation of this particular expression. You already know it. I don't want to spend a lot of time here. So a lot of straight lines, everything, any point on that straight line can be defined by its radius and theta, the angle. Okay. So, and if we can actually go from this equation to this equation by a standard geometric derivation. Okay. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. You can easily find that out. If you're stuck, there's a lot of material available. You can actually see the derivation going from this guy to this guy. Okay, it's very beautiful. Okay, so but that's not our concept. Our concept is like you go from xy space to theta rho space. Okay, so let's do that. So this is my xy space. I have a straight line and 2 points on that straight line. Okay, so you have xi yi is 1 point and xj yj is another point. So what you do is I start with xi yi. I take these two values. I vary the theta. I vary the rho. I get a straight line, I get a sinusoid curve now, you obviously governed by this expression, which is something like this. Okay. Now I go to the next point, xj, yj, I form again the curve, which is looking like this. Now these two curves crisscross or intersect at this point, and that point is the most common point, and that most common point is nothing but the straight line in your xy space. Same concept. Only difference is this will more look like a sinusoid now because of our parametric model, because of that. Okay. So those who are confused, I will again reiterate. Maybe I will write it down so that it's very easy for you. Okay. So what you need to do is you take the edge map, right, from let's say Canny edge detection. So that means you are only going to consider only the bright spots in the image. For each pixel, right, in this image, let's say it is xi yi, I go to this space and I will have a curve which is defined by this particular formula, cos theta plus yi sin theta equal to r. You vary the r, you vary theta, okay, and you get this particular curve. So you get this curve, right? You go to the next pixel, you repeat it. So you have so many curves and everything will crisscross or intercept at this point, and whichever is having the most number or which cluster is having the most number, that is the most common straight line in your image. Is not it beautiful? I hope you appreciate it. So this is an example. Okay, so I will just want to show you with this example. Okay, so you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. Okay, so let's consider this point. Okay, so this point means the radius is almost 0 and angle is also almost flat. So you get this particular straight line. Okay, so denoted by this 1, this particular straight line you will get. And now let's consider this point 2. So this is like at a radius, your radius is quite high, but the angle is also very limited, and this is what you have. So it crosses 0. So this means it's sort of 90 degrees. And that's why sin 90 is 0. So you end up in getting only the cos part, right? So you have this particular curve is defined by this point. Okay, so 2 is defining this particular curve. Similarly, the point 3 is 45 degrees, and that is actually defining this curve. Okay, so this particular curve. 4 is also here, which is actually this curve. 5 is also here, which is actually this curve. So each of this point in space in this 2D plane has a curve in the half transform space. Okay, that's why the name transform. We moved away from xy to this particular theta r plane. Okay, so always remember that. So this guy is xy, this guy is r theta plane. Okay, so that's only different. So any point here will form a curve here. And then if you see, okay, now it's a beautiful aspect. Okay, let's consider this point 3. Okay, so how many straight lines are possible? Okay, so let's say which all points, or let's consider this line. Okay, let me just put this line. Okay, so it is crossing through 1, 3 and 5. Okay, so let's see that. So 1 was actually this guy, this line. Okay, so this is 1, and 3 is basically this guy, and then 5 is basically this guy, right? So everything, so this guy, so this curve, this curve, this curve coincide at this point, and that is basically A, right? And this is that line. Okay, so this is that line which actually coincides at A. And let's see this B. Okay, so let me just discard everything. Okay, so we are going to consider this B. Okay, so B is actually governed by 4, 2 and 3, right? That's all. I think I'm seeing 4 curves. Yeah. So 1, 2, 3. That's correct. So this 2, right? 3, right? And 4. So this is that line. Okay, so that's all. So I hope it's very, very clear to you, and there's nothing not so magic about it. And now the extensions, right? I mean, you can extend this very easily to a circle or a ellipse or some other parametric curve that you want. All you need to do is very easy. Let me take the circle example. So x minus xc square plus y minus yc square equal to, again I'm making the same mistake, okay, is equal to r square. So you have to go away from your xy space to your xc, yc, r space. So you have actually 3 parameters here, and it's slightly computationally intensive, but you can do the same. So you go for each and every pixel, then you put that number here, x and y is fixed, xc, yc, r is varied, you get a circle, right? You get a sort of a circle. Then you go to the next xy, you get another circle, you get another circle, you get another circle, and so on. And wherever there is maximum intersection happening, that is the most common circle in the image. I hope it's very clear. It should be very easy. Okay. So with that, I will stop the half transform, and the edge linking is also over. Okay. So we will see, we will move towards segmentation from the next few slides. Okay. Till then, it's goodbye from my side. Thank you.